Cooney from the 1916 Relatives Association. Thank you, Paddy.
My name is Patrick Cooney. I'm the founder of the Save Moore Street campaign. And I represent that campaign and relatives of the 16 executed leaders, some of whom are here today, the relatives, Jim Connolly Heron and some of the McDermotts. I want to acknowledge their presence. We were in court yesterday, and it's not often you say you have good news from court, but we did get good news. And the news is that the minister's shameful appeal is now going to be heard December 2017. That's a long way off, and it gives us plenty of time, from amongst other things, for this government to go and for us to secure the future of Moore Street. It was a great victory in court yesterday, and we didn't have to do very much. The judge did it for us. She also reprimanded the opposition as to the state of their papers and briefs. So we had a good day. You had a good day. When I stood on Moore Street 15 years ago, that entire terrace was going to be demolished and replaced with an overscaled, now very old-fashioned shopping centre. The fact that the terrace still stands, as we saw a few minutes ago, is a sign of our victory. There is no doubt about that. If it hadn't been for our campaign and the campaigns that have built around it, that would now be a shopping centre, probably only half let, or in fact a very large building site. So you deserve commendation. Many people have said it's the biggest victory since Wood Quay. Wood Quay was not a victory. Look what's on Wood Quay. It's the biggest victory ever in the history of the state for conservation and heritage. Make no mistake about that. The problem in Wood Quay is actually managers, deputy managers, planners. These are the people we need to ask, what are your affiliations? What are your connections? Unelected, unaccountable, their conceit and arrogance we have all seen at close quarters. Councillors are good, bad, indifferent. We have some excellent councillors, and some of them are here today. But I would say to them that you can't accept the dysfunctional imbalance and nature in the council. It's unacceptable that you, as our elected representatives, have to go cap in hand to unelected and unaccountable suits. Don't accept it. You must confront the erosion of yours and by extension our powers. We fought to a standstill a large but inferior force. DCC management and so-called planners, the suits of the department, the developers, an indifferent media, and a sometimes apathetic public. And we have prevailed. Right, for once, has defeated might. The campaign's success, I'm glad to say, has enthused and galvanised many local and national groups who are confronting an uncomfortable truth that we faced, and that is that one of the greatest enemies the people of Ireland have is in many respects its own people, in the shape of an unaccountable, calcified, pathologically dysfunctional civil and public service. One of the greatest villains in the whole scandal is the so-called conservation section of Dublin City Council. Professionals who sat on their hands and looked the other way when their profession was not only compromised, but practically obliterated. They, the professionals, allowed themselves to be leaned on by the suits. And what can we do in the face of this? Well, we can inform ourselves. We can activate ourselves. We can rattle the cage. If you can't be with us in the court, and that's understandable, because it's a very tight-knit group and we don't need lots of people in the court, you can be on the street with the injunction. You can be on the street, full stop, collecting petitions. Write, phone your councillor, your TDs, contact the media, even if they don't want to know. RTE, TV3, Primetime. Primetime had me and Jim Connolly in for meetings 10 years ago. They were going to do an expose, then suddenly it was dropped like a hot potato. They need to be contacted. And of course, phone Joe. Joe is doing very well out of Moore Street. He's had a book and a documentary, Mr. Duffy. Anytime I've contacted that programme over 15 years with press releases, nothing has come back. When he was invited on a tour of the street with James Connolly Heron, the great-grandson of his great hero, he refused. We have built up this head of steam, this pressure. It's up to all of us to maintain it. In court, the citizens' injunction, the inspectors, and if necessary, let's not forget the citizens' occupation. A word about the market. It remains and will remain. It is an essential component in the future of Moore Street. Shop there, talk to the traders. They've been up against it as much as anybody else with official indifference and contempt. We are determined and as dedicated as an infused with a sense of righteousness that comes from the moral and ethical victory that we all achieved in the High Court on that momentous day, March the 18th, 2016. We are not going anywhere. Moore Street, the battlefield site, all around it, belongs to us, and not a cabal of on-the-make DCC managers, Del Boy Trotter developers, but us, the people, and those who come after us, and perhaps they might thank us for standing up against almost insurmountable odds and winning back the heart of Dublin City, the city that fought an empire. What an inspiration. And I got inspiration every time I went into countless, tedious, unproductive meetings with council officials and with departmental officials. And as I introduced our team, Pearce, Connolly, Clark, all the names rang out. I stood beside these relatives, opposite the faceless bureaucrats. And at the heart of it all, this phrase kept coming back to me, on the shoulders of giants. And I couldn't remember where I saw it, and I remembered eventually that it was engraved on the rim of the English £2 coin, on the shoulders of giants. It comes from Isaac Newton, who said, "If I have seen further, it is standing on the shoulders of giants." And we do. We honour the men and women of 1916. And I feel, when I looked around that room at the relatives, the same way. And we honour those who occupied those buildings in 1916. And we stand here today and we say to them, we have not forgotten. We remember you, your bravery, and it informs us and inspires us to do what we are doing. And we have chosen to be your inheritors. And we will not, we cannot, we should not, we will not lose. We will win.
I'd like to say thank you to Paddy Cooney and the campaign for joining us on our demonstration today. And